Alright guys, so Yuta is finally in the game now. Some of you guys will be super happy, others may be a bit less fortunate and didn't manage to actually pull him. So today my video will be about a rerolling guide so that you know everything you need if you actually plan to reroll for Yuta. Now, I will kind of mainly talk about, I guess, three things in this video. One is, should you even bother rerolling for Yuta? Second topic will be, when should you be doing it? And then thirdly, what should you be actually aiming for? Now, for the first one, should you bother rerolling for Yuta? My answer is simple: yes, absolutely yes. For two reasons. One, Yuta is a limited character which have never returned on the Japanese server to date. So that basically means this could potentially be your only chance of getting him like ever. So definitely make the most out of it and make sure you can get one copy of him. You don't need to worry about duping him, just getting one copy. I think that would be absolutely great. And then the second reason is, yes, this game is more of a PvE game. You're not really competing against anyone, but at the same time, you want to make your life easier, right? Like, you're playing a game to enjoy it. Why would you want to spend lots of hard work to grind everything out when you can have a much easier time clearing content? And to do that in this game, you kind of need one character or one DPS, damage dealer, between every single color. Now, if we actually take a look at a list of all of the red characters right now on the Japanese server, the ones we have right now is Maki, Todo, Hanami. Those are kind of the three red SSR we have in the game right now. Todo and Hanami are not damage dealer, so you can kind of rule them out. Maki is a damage dealer, but possibly one of the worst ones. Like, if you check out my review for SR version of Maki and just compare their skills, the SR version actually have better scaling than the SSR one in terms of their skills. So that this one is just absolute rubbish in terms of his kit. So I wouldn't recommend going Maki as your only red DPS. And then that basically means Yuta is kind of our first proper red DPS that you really want to pull on. Now, there are a few other damage dealer that will be coming out in the future. I know a lot of other content creators are talking about like Toji. Toji is a half anniversary character. Like, you don't want to wait another 5 months just so that you have potentially another chance of getting a red CPS. Like, those 5 months, the next 5 months are going to be super difficult for you guys if you don't actually have a red DPS. So that's kind of why Yuta is actually really, really good. And now if you're thinking, okay, what about, this red Yuji and red Nobara? Yes, they could potentially be good substitute for Yuta if you're not lucky enough. But let's take a look at the timeline on when we actually get them. So this is a timeline on the JP. And you can see on JP, basically they had Yuta in December, okay? So they had Yuta later than essentially what we had, if we're purely talking about like the date of the month. And then if you take a look at when Yuji is released, Yuji was released in January back in Japan. So that basically means Yuji is potentially actually going to be the next character we have, because if you look at the Japanese timeline, the next, let's say, standard banner character after Incomplete Domain Megumi is going to be the Red Yuji. And let's be honest, if you spend all of your summons on Yuta right now and didn't manage to get him, you're not going to have many summons for this Red Yuji. So you can't essentially rule him out because you wouldn't have anything left. And then if we take a look at Red Nobara, that's just in February. That's still not very much time. That's just 2 months away. And considering the speed, the pace, global is going, this is probably only going to be like a month and a half away from us. And once again, if you fail to pull on Utah right now, in 1.5 months, I doubt you will be able to get many extra cubes out because we have already cleared vast majority of content. So you're going to be in really, really bad shape to summon for red Nobara as well. And that basically means if you do not get red Yuta right now on your existing account, there's a very good chance you literally wouldn't have enough resources to put on any other red DPS till perhaps half anniversary. That's a whole 5 months you have to wait. It's just totally not worth it. So that's kind of why I suggest, like, seriously, like, unless you have spent absolutely loads of money, and if you already have, you might as well just spend it to guarantee Utah. Otherwise, for the free to plays or for the small spenders, please just restart and get guarantee red Utah. It will make your life so much easier later down the road. Okay, so that's basically gonna be my suggestion in terms of whether you should reroll or not. Now the next question is, when should you be rerolling? Because there are actually three crucial, let's say, checkpoints where you can actually potentially be rerolling, and it's gonna be up to you to decide when do you want to do it. Obviously, one of those checkpoints would be now, and the reason is you would still have this incomplete domain Megumi banner out. So basically, what you can do is you can potentially go for reroll where you have incomplete domain Megumi as well as Yuta. So that would be absolutely amazing. Then the other choice is going to be if you actually take a look at your announcement, you probably have seen this already, but basically Geto will be out on the 29th of November. So that's kind of the second time point where you can potentially reroll. And even though incomplete domain Megumi will be gone by then, now you actually have a chance of rerolling for both Yuta and Geto together. And I will kind of talk about Geto as a character and whether you should go for him in a bit. And then the third potential checkpoint that you can also do is this one. I think is going to be up for debate, and I personally wouldn't advise it, mainly because basically, if you actually take a look at the way our banners are going right now, the banners are super long. They are lasting for whole months, all the way to December, and it's very likely there will be another character released before them. Now, no one can say for sure, and no one knows who that character is. If they follow JP, it could be Red Yuji. There is even potentially a small chance it may be Green Gojo, in which case it would be absolutely amazing as well, because Green Gojo is the next character after Red Yuji. So depending on when they actually have the next banner and whether they actually choose to have uh, all of the banner started before this one finished, because remember this lasts for a whole month, it's very likely, well, plausible, they will be trying to add in an additional banner before this actually finished. So you could actually get into a situation where you can reroll for both Yuta, Geto, and this potentially third permanent banner SSR. And depending on whether it's going to be Red Yuji or Green Gojo, it could be like a very, very OP account to start off with. Especially if it's Green Gojo. Like, just imagine if you're able to start an account with Green Gojo, Red Yuta, Geto, and then also obviously the Blue Gojo that you are guaranteed for SSR, the redrawable one. That's going to be absolutely insane account to start off with. So you can potentially wait for that time point as well. But this one, I don't know. I don't know how you guys feel about this, because nothing's confirmed. I probably wouldn't suggest you guys wait that long just for this potential possibility. You are potentially going to be missing out for at least 2 or 3 weeks worth of resources while waiting for this unconfirmed character, and we don't even know what's going to be Green Gojo or Red Yuji. So there's a lot of uncertainty in this. So personally, I wouldn't recommend waiting that long. So if it's gonna be up to me, I would suggest either rerolling for Yuta plus incomplete domain Megumi, or rerolling for Yuta plus Geto. Those are kind of the two decisions I personally recommend people to make a choice between. Now, whether you want to go for Geto or incomplete domain Megumi, to me they're both very good, both very good character. They actually play a very similar role. Basically, incomplete domain Megumi, you guys are probably familiar with his kit now. He basically can do massive debuff, like 75% debuff, extra damage debuff, and then on top of that, he can also do crazy amount of attack for his ultimate attack, and that basically means even though he's like a debuffer, he can actually do insane amount of damage. And then if you actually take a look at Blue Ghetto's kit, basically he can also do a debuff which increase their damage received by 25%. Now, this one is obviously nowhere near as incomplete domain Megumi. However, this is just a normal skill. He doesn't need to trigger, release his ultimate in order to actually get this additional effect. So you could say, yes, this is a weaker debuff, but he can use this debuff straight away. So he doesn't need to wait for anything. And at the same time, his ultimate attack also scales based on how much curse energy you do. So once again, he is like a debuffer, but capable of doing insane amount of high damage. So the two characters are actually very, very similar in terms of the role they're going to play. Incomplete domain Megumi is probably going to be slightly better just because of his game mechanic and the fact that his debuff is higher, but both are very, very good character. Now, from color point of view, incomplete domain Megumi is going to be slightly better as well because he is yellow, whereas Geto is blue. Now, if you think about, for example, I need at least 1 DPS in my team. For blue, you're almost guaranteed to get Gojo as your redrawable SSR. Whereas for yellow, yes, there's Nobara, who's also very good, but you're not guaranteed on Nobara because when you have that choice between Nobara and Gojo, you would definitely go for Gojo. So from that point of view, having incomplete domain Megumi provides a bit more of color coverage average than what Geto is gonna be. So that's kind of why if you literally have to compare the two, I'll probably say Incomplete Domain Megumi is probably like slightly better. Like he might be like an S tier. Well, he is an S tier character, whereas Geto is probably more like bottom of S tier or the top of the A tier for me. So that's basically gonna be how you would evaluate them purely based on their skills. However, what wins it for me on Geto over Incomplete Domain Megumi is once again he's a limited character. So just like Yuta, he has never ever returned on the Japanese server. So this may be your only chance of actually getting him. So that's also something you have to bear in mind. And personally, out of the two, I am more of a collector person. So I would much rather to have him, who's a limited character, than someone like Incomplete Domain Megumi, who will be eventually added to the pool, even though he may be slightly better on paper than what Geto is able to do. So that's going to be my personal suggestion. Now, what you can also potentially do, this is somewhat cheeky, and I probably wouldn't recommend this for free-to-play players, but what you can potentially do is obviously try to go for reroll with Incomplete Domain Megumi and also Yuta right now, and then as soon as the 29th comes, you get a few more summons from the free tickets that they're going to give, you then start the process again and see whether you can actually get lucky enough to pull maybe Geto in just a few motives as well. Obviously, that basically means you are taking a risk on Geto. Now, there you could be super lucky and you can get all three characters, but you could also end up not actually getting Geto, who I really, really do recommend because he is the limited character. So this is something I wouldn't recommend for free to plays. For free to plays, I'll probably recommend still just making sure you can guarantee the limited characters. However, if you're actually willing to spend in order to guarantee the pity on Geto, then actually what I may suggest is go for Yuta and Incomplete Domain Megumi right now. You probably, by the time Geto is coming out, and bear in mind Geto is here for a whole month, you can probably easily get up to probably at least 100 multi or maybe even 150 multis if you haven't spent on anything else. And then if you're willing to hit the pity by spending a tiny bit, you can actually guarantee Geto as well. So that is potentially something also doable. But like I said, if you're actually purely free to play, I'll probably still recommend just trying to go for Geto plus Yuta rather than get Yuta plus Incomplete Domain Megumi.